Absolutely. I'll craft a long, emotionally engaging story based on your title, written in a way that would work perfectly for a 40-minute YouTube video, with a strong hook, smooth pacing, and a heartfelt ending. Here's the story. He never thought an old, forgotten house could change his life, but as soon as he opened the creaking door of the cliffside home he'd inherited, everything about his world shifted in an instant. Jake Miller, a single dad struggling to keep his 10-year-old daughter, Lily, happy after the death of his wife, had never imagined that this sudden inheritance would come with more than just dust and memories. The moment he stepped inside, he felt it. The house was alive in a way that whispered secrets and possibilities, and he wasn't alone. At first, he thought it was just the wind, the way it howled through the cracked windows and rattled the doors, but then he saw her. A small figure huddled in the corner of the living room, eyes wide, watching him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She couldn't have been older than 12, with tangled brown hair and a dirt-smudged dress, holding a worn-out stuffed rabbit as if it were her shield against the world. Who are you?" Jake asked, his voice steady but his heart pounding. The girl flinched, clutching the toy tighter. "I live here," she said softly. "I've always lived here." Confusion and concern collided in Jake's mind. He had inherited this house from his late uncle, who was a recluse, and he had no idea anyone else could be living here. But as he looked closer, he noticed something extraordinary. The girl wasn't just scared, she was hurting. There was a quiet strength about her, a resilience that mirrored his own struggle to keep life together for Lily after her mother's passing. That's when he realized, this wasn't a stranger. Somehow, this girl was going to become the most important part of their lives. The next few days were a blur of unease and discovery. Jake learned that the girl, named Emma, had been living in the house alone for months after her parents disappeared in a tragic accident. No one in the nearby town had reported her missing, assuming she had relatives or been taken in by someone else. But here she was, surviving on her own, crafting meals from what little she could find and keeping herself warm during the harsh coastal nights. Jake felt a pull he hadn't experienced in years, a mixture of responsibility, compassion, and something deeper he didn't yet understand. Bringing Emma into his life wasn't easy. Lily, cautious and grieving in her own way, didn't immediately accept her. She clung to her father, her world shaken by the sudden appearance of another child who needed them both. Jake struggled to balance his daughter's jealousy with the undeniable need Emma had for safety, love, and stability. Sleepless nights turned into quiet conversations in the kitchen, where Jake explained gently that sometimes, families aren't just made, they're found. Emma, who had never known trust or consistency, slowly began to respond. Lily, in turn, started to see that helping Emma didn't take away from her father's love, it multiplied it. As the weeks passed, the house itself seemed to change, reflecting the healing inside. Jake and the girls worked together to fix broken windows, paint peeling walls, and clear overgrown paths along the cliffside. They planted a small garden, and for the first time in months, laughter echoed through the rooms. Jake noticed things he hadn't in years: Lily's smile returning, Emma's cautious but growing warmth, the sense that this cliffside home wasn't just a house, it was a sanctuary. But just when life felt like it might settle into a fragile happiness, a challenge came that tested them all. Social services discovered Emma's presence, and a stern caseworker arrived, insisting that the girl needed to be placed in foster care until her situation could be fully investigated. Jake felt a surge of panic and anger. He had already begun to love Emma as part of his family. Losing her now would tear everyone apart. Nights were sleepless again, filled with whispered plans and desperate calls, but Jake refused to give up. He dug into records, talked to neighbors, and even reached out to his uncle's lawyer, determined to prove that Emma's home was here, with him. The legal struggle was tense, emotional, and exhausting. Emma, who had finally begun to trust adults again, retreated at times, afraid the little family they were building might be torn apart. Lily's eyes welled with tears at the thought of losing her new sister. Yet through every setback, Jake remained steadfast, showing the girls that family is more than paperwork, it's the bond you create through love, care, and sacrifice. Finally, after weeks of hearings, meetings, and heart-wrenching uncertainty, the court ruled in favor of keeping Emma with Jake and Lily, recognizing the unique family they had formed. That night, standing on the cliff with the wind whipping through their hair, the three of them gazed at the ocean below. Jake held both girls close, feeling a profound sense of peace he hadn't felt since before the world had taken so much from him. Emma, shy but smiling, whispered, "Thank you for finding me." Lily squeezed her hand, saying softly, "We're a family now." Jake looked out at the horizon and realized that the house, the cliff, the storm, it had all led him here. Not to wealth or inheritance, but to connection, love, and a chance to heal together. From that day on, the cliffside home was no longer just an old house. It was a place of second chances, where laughter replaced loneliness, and hope replaced grief. Jake, Lily, and Emma built a life together filled with challenges, yes, but also with joy, understanding, and unconditional love. And as the waves crashed below, Jake knew something he'd never thought possible after so much loss. Sometimes, the people you find when you least expect them change your life forever, and in doing so, they teach you how to love again. If you felt your heart stir with Jake, Lily, and Emma's journey, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because there are countless more stories about hope, family, and the unexpected turns life takes that you won't want to miss. Remember, sometimes the people we find in the most unexpected places are exactly the ones we were meant to find all along. If you want, I can also expand this into a full 40-minute YouTube script with natural dialogue, dramatic pauses, and visual cues so it's ready to film without losing pacing. That version would make it feel like a real cinematic story for your viewers. Do you want me to do that next?